Someone asked us once, what happens if the avatar hallucinates? So my colleague said, well, as a matter of fact, faculty hallucinate. Live faculty hallucinate. And if you've ever been in higher education, you know faculty make crap up all the time.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your no-fluff guide to artificial intelligence in higher ed. I'm Mallory Willsea, bringing nearly 20 years of edtech and marketing expertise straight to your earbuds. Higher ed leaders are expected to master AI overnight, but let's be real, no one has time to sift through every headline, hot take, or research report. That's why every Monday, I'll break down what actually matters. Fast, clear, and to the point. Want to sound like the smartest person in the room at your next team meeting? You're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Higher Ed Pulse. Today's episode is about what happens when you stop trying to optimize the existing model and start rebuilding it entirely, because AI isn't just changing how students learn, it's forcing institutions to decide what learning is actually for. And joining me today is a friend of Enrollify, Dr. Nick Ladany, president of San Francisco Bay University and a member of Enrollify's inaugural 2024 Hall of Fame class. Nick has spent more than 3 decades inside higher ed as a professor, researcher, and institutional leader, and is now leading one of the more ambitious redesigns we're seeing, a human-centered, AI-integrated model that rethinks everything from curriculum to cost to the role of faculty. Nick, welcome back to the Pulse.
Hey, Mallory, it's great to see you.
It's so good to see you and catch up, and I hear you're a new grandfather. Gosh. Tell me more.
Absolutely. The most adorable grandchildren anyone could ever have. So we're so blessed and we're so happy to have them around when they are with us, which they're fairly frequently with us. So we're very lucky, and it's just fun. It's a great way to start your day with a couple of kids that just kind of want hugs, and that's all they want. They're about 9 and 6 months old.
Oh, how sweet. You said a little boy and a little girl, right?
Little boy and little girl. Yes, they're very lovely. And it's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing experience.
You're going to have a busy summer ahead, Nick, with 2 little ones running around.
You know it. But when I think about what we're doing here in higher education and what we're doing at San Francisco Bay University, it's for them. It's knowing what they're going to need in the next 20 years.
Oh, I love that. I love that connection. So let's get right into our topic today. For years, higher ed has tried to innovate by layering new tools into old structures like online programs and AI pilots. But the underlying model hasn't really changed. Content is still the center, time is still fixed, and faculty are still positioned as the primary source of knowledge delivery. But what you're doing at San Francisco Bay University challenges all of that. Your model starts with a different premise: design around human development, not content delivery, which means building learning experiences that adapt to the student, their goals, their pace, and how they actually develop capability over time. So instead of passive and asynchronous learning, SFBU is building programs around deliberate practice, applied work, feedback loops, and real-world challenges that mirror how learning happens outside the classroom. This isn't incremental change. Dr. Nick Ladany's model has a co-intelligence division of labor that reshapes the entire system, including cost, speed, and access, and it results in a 10K MBA and a 3-year bachelor's degree designed around workforce readiness instead of seat time. Ooh, we're going to get into all of it today with Nick. So you sent me a slide deck prior to this conversation so I could dig deep and learn a bit more about this program. And your slide deck literally started with this question: if we are designing an MBA for the future, why should it resemble the MBA of today? That is powerful. Where and when did you realize, Nick, that the existing model was misaligned with what students actually need right now?
That's a great question, Mallory. So I think, throughout my career, I've seen how students, what we think we're giving students or what we hope to give students, we fall short. So I like to say that I think students have high expectations. We give them high expectations or high hopes for education, but in the end, we expect low expectations. We ask them to expect low expectations from us. I could say it again, basically, high hopes with low expectations. That's the journey of higher education traditionally. So you either have to have all the skills coming in order to benefit from higher education. We're going to exclude a whole bunch of people because we just don't want to message or don't want to deal with the mess of actually having to educate them. So we kind of make sure they get through the university in any way they can. So I like to think of it as going from a Yugo to a Waymo. That's our approach in higher education. For those of you that remember a Yugo.
Well, and there's plenty of Waymos bopping around San Francisco in your backyard, I am sure.
That's right.
I love that. That's great. So, okay. You just said something very provocative, I think, that people come in with high hopes, but then get delivered something that doesn't quite maybe reach what they were intending. So if most institutions, right, are still organizing around content, credit, and time, what is it that we know about how people actually develop capability that many institutions seem to just ignore, or, you know, the end result is we don't hit the expectations that our learners have?
Well, I mean, you have to go back over 100 years to when we came up with credits and why it matters and what really matters. And usually that's content. So 120 credits goes back 100 years to Carnegie. Then you've got this long history of imparting content or trying to impart wisdom to students, almost like the germ theory of education, I like to say, which basically means if we expose students to content, they're going to learn it. And what we find is it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work. It works okay for many students. Most of us get through it. Most of us get through it in a relatively unsatisfactory fashion. You know, the dirty little secret in higher education is we don't train faculty in how to teach. There's no other workforce in the world that we actually hire people that have no skills in what we expect them to do. No trained skills, I should say. Now, someone pointed out to me recently, actually the other profession is politics. So, but we won't go down that path. But more importantly,
that's a different podcast.
It's a whole nother.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you know, in higher education, faculty who now have evolved into this weird role of, I've heard things like own curriculum. Who would dare say that in any other industry, that we're the arbiters of all that is needed for students? That's insane. In fact, it does border, I think it actually is delusional. Faculty are not trained as curriculum experts. In fact, what we know is they're awful at it. I can tell you from being around faculty my whole life that we're not very good at it. We've never been trained in how to do it. We're content experts. We know the content really well. But whether we can impart it in an effective way is very suspect. And I believe about a third of the faculty are outstanding teachers, a third are mediocre, and a third are incompetent. And you ask anyone who's gone to college and they will tell you, yeah, I had a lot of incompetent teachers. And they weren't here for me, or I had a class of 400 students and I really didn't learn much. I could have learned from a webinar as much. So we're trying to turn that on its head. We're saying that's not an acceptable approach, content delivery for just the sake of content delivery. And the fear that administrators in particular have about changing what happens in higher education.
So a 10K MBA or a 3-year business major, when a student is going through one of these new programs, I have to imagine AI is showing up somewhere in order to help augment and provide a division of labor.
Absolutely. So as you point out, we have an MBA going to be launched in a few months, and the total cost of the entire MBA is $10,000.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh.
So we've stripped away all the things in higher education. We don't have rock climbing walls. We don't have a lake in the middle of campus. You know, we aren't sending students on, charging students to send them to places that they have to pay for and call that education. What we're saying is we want our students to learn, but learn in the best manner possible. So we are doing what we call AI integrating with HI, or human insight, human interaction. So the whole premise is we can do a lot of content delivery and content learning through AI avatar professors, but we also need the human professor to provide what is really needed or what is most meaningful oftentimes to student, which is building community, building relationships, mentoring, career advising. Faculty can do that very well, particularly if we teach them how, in small classes of no more than 20. That's a big part of what we're doing. So I like to use this example in one of our modules for the MBA. Anybody can teach Harvard skills of negotiating. Negotiation skills, it's just there, it's in a book, you can read it, you can talk about it. We actually have an AI avatar professor teach it to the student in an interactive fashion at the time, anytime the student wants. The avatar actually interacts with the student in live time. And it's one of our professors who we have put into this avatar as an avatar in essence. Now, they'll go over the skills, and then we ask the student to actually practice it. So here's an avatar boss. We want you to negotiate with that boss for a salary increase. So practice the skills you just learned. And then in live time, after about 20 minutes, the student gets evaluated immediately on those skills and the proficiency of using those skills. Now, if they don't do well, they can go back and try it again. That's what learning is. It's trying again. Or they can meet with the avatar professor again to talk about what they did well, what they didn't do well, and what they may want to try. That's education. It's personalized education for the individual student. And I think that's really important. And it's culturally responsive. We attend to neurodivergence as the best teaching methods are embedded. We have built pedagogy that our avatars use with the students. And then the students can meet with the faculty member, a live human, and have discussions about that, build community, learn how to create pro-social networks that will help them succeed in whatever career or careers they choose over time.
What questions are you getting from your colleagues or students about safeguards around these AI avatar professors?
So it's great. So we have a closed system. So we test it. We tell the avatar professor, someone will say, I'm really thinking of hurting myself. So the avatar professor knows how to redirect the student and give them the mental health resources they need. One of my colleagues pointed out, someone asked us once, what happens if the avatar hallucinates? So my colleague said, well, as a matter of fact, faculty hallucinate. Live faculty hallucinate. And if you've ever been in higher education, faculty make crap up all the time, especially the worst ones. So let's not go crazy over the sanctimony of higher education faculty. They make mistakes. They are flawed. Now, what we try to do is contain with our AI professors. We do a much better job of making sure that they are not hallucinating or not off track. So we have humans that validate and verify and make sure that the avatars are doing what they should be doing. That takes a lot. There's thousands of hours goes into this human-centered design of AI.
Have you negotiated your own salary with the AI avatar?
I don't want to. I think the avatar is better than I'll ever be, right? I think our students are much better than I am when it comes to that. Our students have fun with it. It's funny. Now, I will also say, this was interesting. With our students, when they were first using an AI, we had our AI tutor using similar kind of pedagogy. We've been using that. The students will tell us that they get more frustrated with the avatar tutor than they do with ChatGPT. And you know why? Because our instructors and our tutors don't give them the answer. They say, well, you're on the right track, but why don't you go back to the discussion we had on X, Y, and Z? And this is like, just give me the answer. It's like, no, that's what learning is. Learning is about frustration, and that leads to growth. And now, you don't want too much frustration, but a little frustration is good. It's how we learn. So our avatars are actually built to provide students with that growth mindset that we really want them to have.
That's awesome. Now, I have to ask what the job is of human faculty members in this model.
Yeah, so the role is completely redefined. Right now, the way faculty operate, they teach 2 or 3 classes a semester for 9 months out of the year, full summers. They're supposed to be doing research, quote unquote, which means very different things depending on where the faculty are. What we expect our faculty teach 9 courses a year. They meet in classes of 20 with our students. They teach year-round, so they're available year-round, and their role is changed, like I said, around being a mentor, an advisor, pro-social networker, career linker, that we want them to do, because these are industry-based faculty, so they know the reality of what it means to be in that industry. So that's what we want faculty to do. They can bring content. They have content expertise. I'm not dismissing that, of course. But more importantly, and if you ask almost any student who their favorite professor was and why, they'll tell you it was the relationship. They'll tell you it was a meaningful relationship that was transformative in some fashion. And so we want to create the best human professors all students have, the ones you remember as a student or I remember as a student.
Yeah, that AI avatar can't help me with a networking relationship, but my human professors absolutely did that. And some of them, the ones who cared the most, the ones who took the time out of their day to have that extra conversation with me that maybe changed the way I was thinking about something, those are the ones that I remember. And I think that's great. Like, let's free up our faculty to do the transformational and meaningful work that will actually progress a student farther in their career. That's terrific.
That's absolutely the hope. That's what our approach is. That's our goal. And, and I think it can be done, frankly. We know it can be done because we've seen it. And people learn in so many different ways, and it's okay. And by the way, the other revolutionary thing we're doing is we're including students. We're not excluding them just because they didn't go to they're wealthy, or, we're including them because they're wealthy. You see this all the time. People forget that. Why do we have the SAT? Why do we really use the SAT? What's the number one thing related to the SAT? Number one factor correlated with the SAT. Do you want to guess?
I think it's your family's income.
That's it, family wealth. So I always said, instead of having students take the SAT, just ask them how much their parents make and then admit them based on that, if we're being truly honest. So get that out of the picture. If we can lower the cost of education and make it affordable, and this leads to the 3-year undergrad degrees. We are now approved to offer 3-year undergrad degrees in psychology, business, and computer science. Again, go back 100 years, that's why we have 120 credits, 4-year degrees. But now we believe students really need a great core curriculum that's interdisciplinary, which we created to be purposefully in that space. So how to design your life, how to communicate effectively. All these courses are how-to courses that are purposefully integrated across disciplines. So you learn math, you learn science, all of that in that context. So that's important. But they only need 90 credits because 90 credits is more than sufficient. Why do we have 120 credits? Largely because we needed to give faculty something to teach. There's no benefit in 120 credits. So why not make it 150? And by the way, right now, the 6-year graduation rate, by the way, I want to meet the marketer who came up with the idea that 4-year colleges should have 6-year graduation rates as their primary metric. But the 6-year graduation rate across the country is around 50%. That's awful. That's almost
really
criminal.
bad. Yeah.
And so I just think universities should give money back if you don't graduate, frankly. And so what we're saying is 3 years should be the expectation. Get in, get your degree, learn about life. You can still learn about life in 3 years, and get a job or go to grad school. That's what the major should be about. There was a recent article by Scott Carlson in the Chronicle of Higher Ed where he talks about the 3-year degree. And I think we get mentioned in there. I don't know if he meant it in a positive or negative way. I'm going to just assume he loves us and what we're doing. So it was meant as an affectionate call out to us. But more importantly, he talks about a student who's at Georgetown University who really benefited from some additional electives. And I thought to myself, wow, Georgetown University, I looked it up. It seems that the tuition at Georgetown is around $94,000 a year. Well, if I have an extra $94,000 a year just sitting in my pocket and I want to take some extra courses, great. I don't know how many about you, but I don't have $94,000 sitting around in my spare change to take courses just for the fun of it. Learn how to be selective. Teach students how to be discerning. That's what's critical. Help them learn as they need to. And so we keep defaulting to what we think the wealthiest students should pay because that's the only way colleges make money. Why else would you keep them there 6 years? Well, the other reason is because we don't offer the courses they need to graduate. That helps. And why do we have 40 to 50 million students out there with partial degrees? There's 40 to 50 million students that need to complete their degree. Well, we have a 90 credit degree that's going to be offered asynchronously through this AI approach, but synchronously in terms of how they can access it. You can do it for $10,000 a year. $30,000 the most we're going to probably charge a bit less, but that's right now we're looking at $7,000 to $10,000 a year. $20,000 probably will be the point of how much it costs us. And you can do that and still actually as a university be net positive. We don't have the lake. I'm sorry we don't have the lake in the middle.
Well, you got the bay. So,
we got the bay. Yeah, you want a lake?
The bay.
Take the bay. I like that. That's perfect.
New tagline. There you go. Look, every time I talk to you, Nick, I am just struck by how innovative you are. You question everything. It's the way we've always priced it. Question it. It's the way the operating model has always been. Question it. Faculty have always been asked to do these things. Question it, right? And it is applying old ways of doing things, right? That is how we keep this industry moving forward. You're one of the most innovative people I know. And students are out there, they're questioning cost, time, ROI more aggressively than ever. You are saying to them, you can get either a 3-year degree or a 10K MBA that just challenges everything you may have previously known about higher education. Like it's just like applaudable. I am so inspired and like fired up when I talk to you because it's like so many schools do not want to face these really hard conversations about literally changing it all. And you are like, no, this is the only way we face it, by challenging everything. I don't know that there's a question here, but like, I'm just always so impressed by what you are doing at San Francisco Bay University. That's
right. Well, you're very kind. Thank you. And me and my colleagues, it takes a group. I like this, what I have done is hired a whole bunch of very smart people who have what I call a healthy disgruntlement with current higher education. And we want to change the world. We think we're more, I think higher ed is the Blockbuster and we're the Netflix coming in, or the Yugo versus the Waymo. There's going to be a shift, and universities, one is closing a week. And frankly, I think presidents and boards lack the courage to change. Oh, we can't do it because of the faculty. Sure you can. Can't do it because of it. Sure you can. Stop saying you can't and before it's too late. That's why you're closing. I've heard faculty and presidents say we would rather go under than change who we are.
What are they protecting?
I guess this delusional idea of what they've actually done. Because frankly, if we really look at it, there's no faculty at any university that's better than any other faculty. I love our faculty here, but there's a lot of great faculty out there. And in fact, it's interesting. I mentioned our approach to faculty. We pay them top dollar. Our average starting salary is somewhere around $115,000, $120,000 a year for our faculty. And when we first were hiring faculty that were going to come here, we don't have tenure. A lot of folks said to me, you're never going to attract faculty to go to untenured positions, multi-year contract positions, where they will teach year-round and teach 9 courses a year. And you know what we found? Flooded with applications, because a lot of faculty realize this is what they wanted to do. They want to make a difference in people's lives, not make a difference only in what they can get away with.
Man, let's make this a little more concrete as we are winding this episode down. When you walk onto a campus 2 or 3 years from now, what is going to immediately tell you that the leadership in that institution has innovated and adapted versus one that hasn't? Besides one of them being open and the other not, but
Yeah. There is that. Well, one of the things, I'll start by saying one of our future plans, and we're actually going to be looking to do this within the next year, is create what we're calling neighborhood campuses. So these are campuses in neighborhoods. It could be at a community center, a public library, maybe connected to a community college, where we bring education to that community. We're not expecting you to come to us. So a college in the future is going to be highly accessible. So it's not going to be the pretty campus where you spend $100,000 a year just to water the lawn, which that's what it costs to water a football field or a soccer field in this area here. It probably costs less in other areas where there's more water, but that's what it costs here. And by the way, that cost gets passed on to students. So I think campuses are going to be more prudent in their use of space. They're going to be better designed. They're going to be living and learning environments. They're not going to just be country clubs for the wealthy kids. They're actually going to probably have linkages to industry. They're going to be, AI is going to be integrated. For us, the neighborhood campus allows, for tuition to still stay pretty decreased. For 100 to 1,000 students in the neighborhood, you can access one of our neighborhood campuses that will be available to you in ways campuses have not been available to you. And I think that's what I would expect. The college campus itself will look very different. Maybe not physically. I think universities now are scrambling to deal with deferred maintenance. But I wrote an article in Forbes. I'm a Forbes contributor, and one of the articles I wrote a while ago was about if you're paying more than $10,000 a year in tuition, you're paying too much. And I think that's true. And, universities have not had to grapple. If you look at the rate of increase in tuition at universities, it's exceeded even healthcare costs in the US in the last 20 years. That's insane. And you know why? Because people are willing to pay for it because they think they got something out of it. Now the problem is you're getting a lot of rhetoric about not everyone should go to college, or, college is not worth it. It's still worth it. And the only people I ever hear saying that have their kids get a college education. So let's be honest. It's a way to keep kids out. You try to dismiss college education. We don't want a country of uneducated. We want educated people that can make a difference in the world and differences for their community. So I'm a huge advocate. I think everyone should have the access to a college education, and that's what we're about.
I love that. I completely agree. Accessibility is so important, and you are doing the real work to make that happen. It is just wonderful to have gotten to know you over these last couple of years and watch this absolute transformation. And thank you so much for being on the Pulse again with me, Nick. This is really exciting. Best of luck as you roll out this 10K MBA program and these 3-year programs. I have to imagine students are going to be knocking your doors down to sign up for this. And, and I can't wait to see how you and your team keep innovating. Where can folks find you if they've got questions for you after this episode launches?
Absolutely. So you can thank you so much, Mallory. You can reach me through our website, sfbu.edu. I'm on the page where I'm listed as an administrator, president. My email's there, but it's nick.ladany@sfbu.edu. They're always welcome. I go to inbox 0 every few days, so I answer every email. And by the way,
I'm impressed.
You said, so what's different in the future? Presidents will respond to parents. Presidents will respond to students. That is what being an administrator is. It's not being distant and imperial. It's about being engaged and making a difference.
I love your approach. Please hire me one day. No. It was so great chatting with you. And folks, if you are interested in learning more about where AI can impact your institution, my gosh, there's a whole conference for it. June 15th to 17th. You do not want to miss out on the Engage Summit this year. It is based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and I know Element 451 has got a lot of really great things cooking up. The agenda's live. Run, don't walk. Engage.element451.com. And if you enjoyed this episode and you listen to the Pulse on a regular basis, please hit subscribe or give me a 5-star rating wherever you listen to this podcast. Thanks, folks, and we'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Higher Ed Pulse. The show is a proud member of the Enrollify Network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow, so be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit Enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.